Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome back to Hem of His Garment. I hope you are having a very blessed Friday so far. I am taking a little afternoon stroll. It's fall weather here in Florida, if you want to call that fall weather. I don't know, it's not 95 degrees out, it's like low 80s. But there's a nice breeze. So anyway, today I kind of wanted to hop on and talk about something that medical professionals won't tell you. Why? Because they make money off of it. Now, I know there are some good doctors, nurses, clinicians that are out here, okay? But for the most part, it's a big scheme to get a lot of money, okay? Insurance companies, big pharma, they want you to stay sick. That way they can make money off of you. And the more medicines they give you, the more side effects you have, which leads to you getting more medicines. And it's just a vicious cycle. So today's topic is going to be gadolinium. We're going to talk about Big Bad GAD. Gadolinium is a heavy earth metal. It is used in MRI dyes. Supposedly, so that way they can see clearer images of things, right? Wrong. So you really don't need the GAD to see everything. You just don't, because especially with today's technology, you really don't need it. So, whenever everything happened to me, so my first attack of things happened on July 24th, that we have learned to come or find out that was probably just my vagus nerve, because I'd been having these issues months prior. And so whenever they thought I had a heart attack, and then they thought I had optic neuritis, and I'll do a whole thing about my vagus nerve. But at any rate, at the end of that first week on July 31st, the neuro, because again, they don't think outside the box and to check you for everything before they send you through the poison tube, they sent me for my very first ever in my life MRI. I have come to find out since then that I had been injected with doTERRA, which is a gadolinium contrast, just different names, same thing. I had had 11 mils pumped into me, and that was for my brain MRI. Within an hour, I kid you not, an hour of me having this thing done, I was so sore that I felt like I had been hit by a Mack truck. I came home, my mom tried to hug me, I was like, she literally couldn't touch me. And from then on going forward, I started experiencing, like I want to say within the next day, on top of the intense soreness, I got pins and needles like all over my body, just intense. And then I had numbness that randomly started in my feet and my hands, and it was just crawling like all over my body. And I started having like a burning in my head. It felt like my brain was literally being lit on fire. And I called the neurologist's office and I was like, hey, this is going on. Oh, we don't need to see you. And I was like, no, you don't understand. I said, there's something wrong. We need to talk about this. So they're like still thinking I had MS at this point. And which to all my MS sufferers, there's hope. If you don't know about the Walls protocol and Matt Embry and Terry Walls, go look that up right now. But anyway, so they said, well, we're going to do an MRI of your spine. And I was like, well, you can't do it with the contrast. And he said, well, why not? And I said, well, because I had a really bad reaction. And I was like, this is what I'm experiencing. And they're still thinking in their head, oh, she's got, you know, an autoimmune disease. We'll need to send her through the tube again. So I go through the tube again without contrast this time. They don't find any demyelination. And my symptoms kept getting worse. Then my bones started hurting, like somebody was breaking my fingers, like literally breaking them off. And my hips, my knees started to hurt. I had different areas, my elbows, like things I've never, so they thought I had RA. And nobody put it together that I had, you know, all this from the contrast. Like nobody did. Right? And, you know, but I kept going back to the neuro and I was like, what's going on? Why can't you figure this out? And I finally just got fed up. So I went to the big clinic in Jacksonville, still trying to figure out, you know, what was going on, because at that point I'd been told I had neuromyelitis optica, because, you know, that's what one random neurologist told me. So I go to the big clinic and they put me through the poison tube again. This time I had gadolinium injected and things kept progressing. I kept getting worse. And so basically, in combination with my vagus nerve originally malfunctioning and no common practice doctor wanting to think outside the box, because what's the point of that? They wanted to put me on Copaxone for MS when I didn't have MS, which can cause cancer. And looking through all my neurologist notes, because I finally went and got them, nobody believed me when I was telling them I was having all these symptoms. And they basically were like, well, the patient, it keeps refusing the drugs, and, you know, basically just shoving me off. And I was having burning in my hands and my feet, which I still have. I still have the burning in my hands and my feet, but I don't have the pins and needles anymore. But it's like it progresses. And GAD, the thing that it does is it attaches to the fat. So they say it's supposed to leave your body in 24 hours. That's a lie. That is a lie. Go get yourself a heavy metals test and do an unprovoked and a provoked test. I bet you anything, if you had an MRI, it's still in your body. It's some way, shape, or form. So I kept getting worse. And I finally, somebody in a Tarloff cyst group that I'm in, she was like, have you ever considered you had gadolinium poisoning? And I was like, well, I had asked about that. And I even told the people at the big clinic, hey, I'd had a bad experience the first time. Oh no, you'll be fine. They probably just had a bad batch. Well, that's a problem first off. And so, you know, because it was like, I kept telling my neuro that like, hey, I'm having problems swallowing. I'm having a real bad head pressure. I have ringing in my ears, you know, and now consistently there's a spot right here at the top of my head that permanently hurts. Some days it's better than others. So basically I'm fighting, you know, threefold. I don't think my cysts are symptomatic, but you know, the gadolinium can cause them to become symptomatic. And these are things that they don't tell you. They don't tell you what your possible side effects are for doing an MRI. And they're just like, oh, you know, you watch videos on them and they're like, no, nobody gets gadolinium poisoning. That's not a thing, you know. You have to outweigh the risk versus benefits. And, you know, no, not everybody may get gadolinium poisoning, but guess what? It doesn't leave your system. It's not supposed to be in your system to begin with. Why would you put a heavy earth metal into your body? It attaches to your bones. It acts like calcium. It attaches to your bones. It gets in your fat, in your muscles. If you don't believe me, everybody loves Chuck Norris because, you know, it's Chuck Norris. Go watch on YouTube the video about he and his wife, where his wife got poisoned by gadolinium and almost died. And it is a very real thing. It is something we are having to fight now. I'm still waiting on my results, but 110% know that it happened to me. Not to mention, I am highly allergic to iodine. And guess what they put in you when you have a CT scan? Well, I've had 2 CT scans because I've been to the ER twice through this whole process with different symptoms that I was having. So, you know, I now experience, which we have to narrow down what's causing what. So we have to get my vagus nerve and my CCI situated, plus the gadolinium taken out. I went from being a Beachbody coach working out 5 days a week to I have POTS-like symptoms now. I have extreme weakness. I will wake up sometimes numb over my entire body. My hands burn. I have burning up my spine sometimes. My head hurts almost constantly. And these are just things they won't tell you. It's like epidurals. I've had 2 of those. Do you think anybody ever told me, hey, there's a black box warning on these? You know, they're technically not FDA approved, but here we're going to stick it into your spinal cord, you know, and hope for the best. And so much through this process, I have realized by God's goodness how much we have deviated from what God originally intended for our bodies, from our health to our medicine. Oh my goodness, especially our medicine. You won't find hardly any doctors that will discuss Christ with you anymore. I have been blessed to where I have 3 that will discuss it with me, and they are holistic doctors, and we are going down the holistic path, because guess what? Modern medicine almost killed me, and it's going to be God's medicine that heals me. So I just kind of wanted to talk about gadolinium. If you've had an MRI, please, 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 please get a heavy metals test done. That your provider won't cover it, insurance won't, you have to pay for it out of pocket. Mine was like $300, but you know, I have to start recovering, I have to start healing. So, you know, we're looking into saunas and doing detoxing that way. I've been pretty much on a paleo diet since they thought I had MS, thanks to Dr. Walls and Matt Embry. I, you know, switched up my eating. You know, and people make fun of me for that because they're like, oh, well, you're on this and you're on that. And it's like, well, you know what? The way God originally intended it was that we ate what we could go out here and grow and kill. So now that we have become civilized, supposedly our eating is better. Well, why do we have more diseases in our modern day society than people who lived hundreds of years ago? Like, explain that one to me. Vaccines are a whole nother different topic that I won't even get on. So it's just, you know, just take care of yourself. You know, look at your Bible. Look how God intended us to live and to take care of ourselves. So on that note, I will end with I guess a couple lines from a hymn called Great is Thy Faithfulness. And it says, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. And, you know, sometimes I don't have the strength. Yesterday was really hard. I cried a lot because I was having to be away from my family for a lot of hours, having to do different things. And all I desperately want is to spend my husband's days off with him instead of having to go get health-related things done. So, you know, it was hard yesterday, but like I've said in another video, I pray each night for the strength for the next day. And I'm out walking around right now. I have strength for today. And there's going to be a bright hope for tomorrow. So I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. I probably am going to discuss vagus nerve issues in the next video. Comment down below if there's anything that you want to know or to touch on. And if you have friends, family, or just in general, share it, because you never know who might see it. These are things that are not being talked about, and our health is being robbed by the very people who are supposed to help us. So I hope you guys have a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous weekend. Know that God loves you, and I love you, and thanks for stopping by.